Hi, this is Tyler Woods, and you're listening to KMKRLP 99.9 FM Tucson. And this is Music Matters. And today we have
Corey Spector.
And what I like about Corey is Corey's different. I mean, he's a great musician, but you're doing music served up a little different.
Yes. My music is more an evening of interaction. I always believe that if I can give the audience a chance to actually dictate the music of the evening, it becomes a fun experience between everybody.
So just to update the audience, because I've been sitting here talking to him for a few minutes, and what Corey does is he has a menu of music, and he actually lets the audience select his sets. He has no control issues, believe me, because he's letting the audience control him, basically. And I think that takes courage and talent.
It's kind of a fun evening because if there's my evening's more of songs of memories, the classics that everyone has a memory going back to college, or even as I find the kids having the memory of their moms or dads playing the song. So when I'm out playing, whether it's a 25-year-old or a 75-year-old, you are picking your songs of the night. Can't guarantee every song because sometimes there's more songs than allocated, but we have a fun evening with that. And we never know if it's 70% love songs, 30% toe tappers, or 80% toe tappers, 20% love songs. It just goes to what the evening and the audience does, and it becomes an interaction, a night of memories.
And I love that because with music, there's no shortage of music at all. So you're never short on material. But what I like the most about it is you really are offering options.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly, and it's so fun because we always find an experience, and most of these songs are really the special era of music of Carole King, of Elton John, James Taylor, the Beatles, Elvis, the Kinks. Yes, I have the Kinks on the list. Yes, I do have the Kinks on the list.
Yeah.
So, and then we get a chance to even share meanings of the songs, when they were written, who wrote them, why. I'm a little bit of a history buff, and sometimes I tell people that, I have this head full of useless trivia, but it becomes fun because you get some meanings behind certain songs that you don't know about in the evening. So
I'm sensing a trivia contest coming up here with you, Corey.
Yes, you can, definitely. We can go through history and have fun with that.
Excellent. Corey, tell me a little bit about you and why you chose this sort of venue.
Going into music, it was just always a love. My brothers up in New York, I'm from New York's hometown of Billy Joel, same high school as Billy Joel. I wish I was in his class. He was a little older than me.
A little, right?
Just my sister's grade, but she didn't know him. I wish she had known him, but she didn't. As a kid, my brother, Kenneth, who just collected every single, every album, and as a kid I would just take it all in. And I have memories of the Beatles, even though I was kind of like 5 or 6 or 7 years old at the time. That night with the Ed Sullivan Show was a big influence to our family. Just everything, and taking it all in. And luckily, he had every single album, so I'd steal the albums and I'd listen. And music became part of my life very early in my life. And I can actually admit that I thought I was George Harrison playing a baseball bat, but that's being guitar. But and that baseball bat did turn into a guitar, and just became the total influence of life.
You remind me of a story as when I was a kid, and I found out, you guys, that Corey and I were the same age, so we pretty much are coming from the same decade for music. And when I was a kid at that age, I was born deaf, and so I could hear certain vibrations, and so when Ed Sullivan came on, I stuck my ear on that little TV that we had in our house, little black and whiter, and I stuck my ear, and they turned it up really loud, and I listened to it, and I remember, because I kind of talk like this, and I said, "Mom, I'll be a Beatle." And my parents ran out and got me a guitar, and I had no idea how to tune it or nothing, but that was like history making. as far as music in America.
And to show you, as kind of like I said, I have this trivia stuff, and when the Beatles auditioned in Abbey Road Studios to show you how well they were, they had to have actual engineers tune their guitars. They didn't even know how to tune their guitars very well. So it shows you how you can actually develop and learn and be great in that regard too in the same regard. So.
Speaking of that, why don't you pick up your guitar? Okay. He's sitting here, and why don't you do a Beatles tune for us?
And that's perfect.
So Corey's going to do a little bit of what he does live, and before the end of the show, we'll let you know where he's playing, where you can catch this magical mystery tour of his.
I like that.
But let's get him going on. Why don't you do? I bet you it's going to be "Here Comes the Sun."
You know it.
And I bet you played that at your mom's funeral. Or when she passed.
I didn't get a chance to play at my mom's funeral, but she was the influence and the inspiration to let us be free and be able to play.
I was watching it on YouTube. Corey does have some stuff on YouTube. Check him out. Yeah. Why don't you turn us on to a song?
My favorite Beatle, George. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, now say it's alright. Little darling, I see the ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, now say it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. 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 Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. It's alright.
Oh, man, that was great. I got goosebumps. Thank you. You know, you have to be in this room, and I record this at home, as most of you know, and I don't go to the studios. But I record. I have a recording studio at home, and when you're sitting this close to Corey and he's playing that guitar, and it's a beautiful guitar, it's a Taylor, and oh my God, you just get goosebumps. Thank you. And then to top it off, he's playing the Beatles, which to me, Beatles are God, and so you know.
The ultimate.
And
the
Clapton
ultimate.
is God too. You know, I have to admit that.
That's true. One of my other big influences also, who has gotten his great dues over the last 10 years, James Taylor.
James Taylor
JT.
was. Do you know who my influences were? And I can't believe that because I'm a rocker at heart.
Okay.
Janician and the Carpenters.
Interesting.
But the Carpenters, because when I was a kid, I would sit there and I would take my 8-track, my reel-to-reel, my cassette, and I would make multi-tracks. And granted, it was like this sometimes, but I was multi-tracking before they created multi-tracking.
Cool.
And I loved it. And then the Carpenters came in, and I heard about some of their earlier stuff was just done on 4 tracks.
Right.
And then they ponged it. They called it ponging it, and back and forth and back and forth. And so, and then Janician I liked because she taught me how to play with all 5 fingers. And you know, we don't use our thumb.
James Taylor taught me how to play a certain way because James Taylor, if anybody knows, plays a very different style of guitar. His fingering's backwards. This is the way he did it, and a actual a teacher will tell you there's music theory and then there's James Taylor, because it's totally two different
Well,
things.
then, but what for your next song, you'll have to do some James
I will.
Taylor
I'll
for us.
definitely do that for
I
you.
saw him in concert with a Beatle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ringo Starr and James Taylor. It was
I saw him too. It was at the same concert at the
cool.
Sierra Tucson.
Yes.
Many years ago.
Yes,
Yes.
a long time ago.
Yes, and
Yeah,
Jimmy
he
Buffett was there
Big
also.
Buffett,
yeah, that was a wonderful concert.
Yeah, I
It
was
really
there. We were there because we thought Eric Clapton was going to be there, mind
Right,
you.
because he's part of
But he didn't show up, little fart. But anyhow. Anyhow.
We got some good artists that night, too.
oh
Niles
my
Lofgren was there. Gosh, bringing back memories now.
Well, isn't that what music is about?
Oh, it always does. It always reaches the heart. It reaches the soul. And each
Right.
night I play and get a chance. And a lot happens because the songs I play it'll put people in memories. I remember one time I played a song, Leader of the Band, which is one of the most beautiful songs about a son and a dad, by Dan Fogelberg. And this lady was crying, and after a break, one of us said, "I'm so sorry I made you cry." She says, No, it's a good cry. It's me and my dad," and stuff like that. So, you kind of, that's what keeps you going, just being able to reach and touch memories and things like that.
Yeah. I've been interviewing musicians since I was in high school.
Yeah.
I had a column in journalism in 11th and 12th grade. And I remember, speaking of incredible guitar players, I had to interview Harry Chapin.
Harry, yes.
And I was just a kid, I was like 17.
Yeah.
And so I
That's
didn't know.
wonderful.
I didn't know what to do because everybody was a lot older than me, and I couldn't get a word in edgewise. So I was like, well, I heard the interview. I'll put something together. And I walked down the hall and I hear this voice going, "Hey, you!" And I turned around. It was Harry. And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "You want to have lunch?" And I was like, "What?"
Yes.
And he goes, I'm just wondering if you want to have lunch. Is there a good place around here?
Yeah.
I'm vegetarian. And I said, "Bentley's." And he goes, "Let's go." And I had an hour of a personal interview with this incredible man, and he talked about, you remind me a little bit about him.
Well,
Yeah.
Harry,
Yeah.
I come from the Northeast, and Harry's, just world famous, but at the time, a lot of his stories kind of related to that in situations, and so we were very big Harry Chapin fans. I have a friend who it's ultimate Harry. He knows every Harry Chapin
I was so
song.
sad when he died because he was my friend. I mean,
I know.
we ended up being
And he passed
kind of
away
friends.
only a couple of exits from where I live, on the
Yeah, in
expressway.
a little
so
Volkswagen
I know.
Rabbit, right?
I know.
He was so into giving, and I think
Yes.
that's what a lot of what I love about Tucson musicians. Is it's a lot about giving.
Harry was one of the greatest storytellers of all time, and I love his line, and I use this when I play Taxi or something like that. And he says, my songs didn't get on the radio as much because they were too long, but this song made it on the top 40 for 15 minutes, and then he played Taxi.
Yeah,
so
I
that's how
love that,
I
yeah.
loved Harry's talking and and things like that. So.
Yeah. So when did you get to Tucson?
I got to Tucson many years ago, probably about 25 years ago, but I really didn't get into music until about 6-7 years ago. You come to town, you raise kids, you do things, and I always wanted to be a musician, but at the age of 22, 23, when I first started to go at it, I realized that, okay, if I want a normal life of things, you make decisions, and you raise kids, and you have family. And then there came a time where there was a change in life. My kids left the house and stuff like that, and I said, I'll give this a shot at trying to see if I can be a professional musician. And I'll give it 8-9 months ago and see if I can do that. And that was like 8-9 years ago. So
Now, were you playing in the kind of venue you play, or?
Yes. It's always been the music that I'll always play the music I love. I like all genres of music, but something that is the most. And my music is, but it's funny because I played everything from casinos to resorts to the coffee houses and all the different things. And I've been very fortunate. And again, one night I just said to myself, I'm going to put some of my songs on a sheet and put them out on the tables and let them people pick songs. And it turned into this wonderful experience, and it's led me into many situations, because the people who come, they start to pick songs, have a good evening, then they come back another time, and it's built to a wonderful situation. It's more of a sharing night.
Do you write at all?
No, I wish I had. My problem is, whenever I wrote a song or a melody, the first thing I do is I compare it to John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and I come to find out. I know exactly, and that's what it gave me, that thing to step away from that, and I didn't realize that you have to spend 2 or 3 years writing bad songs to be a good writer eventually.
Yeah.
And so at this point in my life, I'm not at that point to do that. So it's just giving the experience of fun and memories to people when I play.
I don't think anybody writes a perfect first song.
No.
Although on ukulele, my first song really happens to be a song that our band always closes with, every band I play with, because it's so requested. But that's ukulele.
And I have a great admiration for people who can write their songs. And, if I had the time to sit down, I would love to walk away. You can't really walk away from music and get it back again 8-9 months later. I would love to get away and just give it a good go now at it, but it would take time.
Yeah, but you're a walking jukebox, basically.
That's
and I'll tell you that one of my favorite places to go is when you go into a restaurant and they have the jukebox right at your table. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what I love about what you do, is it's really like having a jukebox and at your own table at the club, that wherever anybody goes to see you.
And you put it best, and that's how it's kind of a night of memories, a jukebox experience.
So give me another memory. What do you got?
Some James Taylor we
James
talked about.
Taylor.
Okay, we'll go with what I consider one of the probably top 50 songs in the last 50 years, in the sense of how it touches people. I hope it's in tune. People's always do that.
By the way, it's a monsoons, guys, and monsoons in Tucson.
Yeah.
And guitars suck.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, big goosebumps.
Yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. Susan, the plans they made put an end to you. I walked out this morning and I wrote down this song. I just can't remember who to send it to. I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you again. Been walking my mind to an easier time. My back turns towards the sun. Lord knows when the cold wind blows, it'll turn your head around. Well, there's hours of time on the telephone line, talking about things to come. Sweet dreams and flying machines and pieces on the ground. Oh, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you, baby, one more time again now. Thought I'd see you one more time again. There's just a few things coming my way this time around now. Thought I'd see you, fire and rain now. La la la, la 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 la.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Beth, again, I love doing this work because, you're the first that's been doing live music in here. Normally I have people bring their CDs in and everything.
Live.
By the way, don't knock at my door at 7 a.m. in the morning delivering your CDs. That's been happening.
Okay.
But we sure appreciate all the local musicians, and God, that was spectacular. If you could be sitting where I'm sitting like, a foot from Corey, and I'm also admiring your very long fingernails.
I got that.
Very long.
James Taylor 101. Look it up, and he shows you how he does it, how he actually does the fingernails.
With these fingernails.
Yeah.
Incredible fingernails. My, what long fingernails you have, my friend. And you're like, oh, the better to play with.
If you blade James Taylor, you got to do it. Otherwise, you'll have bloody fingers. That's how it works out. So.
Anyhow, incredible. So, what's in store for you, Corey? I mean, so I go on YouTube and I look you up, and you seem to be all over Tucson.
It's one of those things where, I've decided to make it my profession rather than a second occupation, and you have to work very hard at actually, you have to understand that owners of places, even though music is important in their occupations, the music is number 16 on the list behind a cook quitting. My advice to musicians who want to make this a living, it's an 8-10 hour a day job, like you do a regular job, in the sense of what you have to do to go out and make it happen. You probably know that, but that's the continual part of it, because as I mentioned before, if they like you, they really want you to play there. But 2 days later, the cook quits, and you're out of their mind for the moment.
Yeah.
So it's always the third and the fourth follow up in a nice way that gets you the job, and that becomes part of the life. So you have to accept that this is a 40 to 60 hour. 70-hour a week job to get those 3 or 4 or 5 gigs a week.
Well, I think that this is an important topic, so I'm so glad you brought it up, because I've been wondering, how do I bring this topic up on the show? Right. And you happen to read my mind. Good. Long friendship here, I think, because you're reading my mind. Yeah. But really, I love it when younger people come in and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And they play a couple gigs and all the girls and they're, you're so wonderful. And then they can't understand why they're not making money.
Right.
And that somewhere there's a fantasy we have that we're going to make all this money playing in Tucson. Granted, we're number 7 in the nation for the best local music.
I do understand that. I mean, I'm amazed because I have friends who call from Seattle who say there's more jobs in Tucson than there are in Seattle in that regard. So Seattle's 5 times the population.
A lot, right?
It's a wonderful. I call it a wonderful mixture of eclectic music, and there's kind of a story that someone told me. And it's funny. I tell a lot of stories between songs and situations, and sometimes these stories are either fact or folklore. And the reason why I say that is I'll get a story about a song, and we can't verify it, but it's such a cool story. I have to tend to believe that this could be. So unless I can find out that it's not, then it's part of what folklore is. But when it comes to what we were talking about musically, someone told me the story, and I thought this is kind of cool, was that a lot of musicians went out to L.A. to make it in L.A. And again, that's a very tough situation because you have so many people out there.
Well, and they got that pay-to-play thing going on there.
Yeah, well, I'll have to hear from you about it. But what happened was, as people would decide not to go in L.A. anymore, the next destination in that time frame was actually Austin, Texas.
Oh, really?
That like Austin City Lights and those kind of things.
Right.
Well, you make your way out to L.A. Where do you pass? You pass Tucson. So if you don't make it all the way to Texas, you end up settling in Tucson because it's a nice town. And I think a lot of musicians did that. And I think overall that's kind of. I mean, it's not as economically. You can sit here and play and not compared to L.A. or something like that. And I think over time, that's why I think you get all this mixture of people. and styles of music in Tucson. Besides just Southwest music, you get bluegrass, you get
this new thing called newgrass.
Interesting, yeah.
And then there's the Lizard Rock Ramblers that are doing pubgrass,
Right.
kind of like pub music, bluegrass style.
Right. But I mean, and then you the New Orleans, jazz, the funk, all the stuff is in Tucson through local musicians. Me, I'm sticking to the classics of James Taylor and Elton John. Now, also, I do play piano too, so I do have piano.
I saw you doing Daniel.
So you get. So when you come to see me play, you get Billy Joel on the piano and John Carroll King on the piano, and that adds another dimension of the evening.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking. Back to what you said, why do you spend 6 or 8 hours pushing? What are you doing all that time?
In the 6 hours.
The 8-hour day you're talking about?
I'm working hard. I think if you show to an owner of a restaurant or a bar who is trying to make it happen like you're making it happen, that you do your due diligence to market yourself and reach out as much as you can. When I play in an evening and someone mentions how much they love the evening, then I'm not afraid to ask for an email and say, hey, wherever if you give me your email, I'll send out where I'm playing.
Right.
So I end up, I hope through an evening that maybe I'll gather 4 or 5 emails, and then each time I play, if I'm not searching for it, but I'm ready to ask the question when the time happens. And over time, I've built up a tremendous amount of contacts in that way.
Yeah, I think that's important.
And, I have a business background in my lifetime, so not that, and you have to have a little bit of that in your mind besides your music. And sometimes it gets frustrating because I would rather spend 5 hours working on guitar than working on that. But you have to realize you have to weigh that off for the sake of trying to, to do that. In that regard.
I hear you. I know with... all the bands I play in, essentially I do all the promoting and everything, and I have a full-time job, and I do this wonderful radio show, and I play in way too many bands, and you have to push yourself. For me, pushing is you open a Facebook page, you put music up there so they know what you're up to.
Right.
I tend to do blogs and I do podcasts so that people can hear what I'm up to or what my bands are up to. I reach out and touch owners. My favorite thing right now is doing showcases, but it is a full-time job.
It is, yes.
So when someone goes, well, how many hours of work do you work? And I'm like, probably about 80, 85.
Right.
35, 40 is my job, and then the other 40 to 45 is really promoting, and you're not going to make it in any town unless you take the time. Do you agree?
And when you actually can show the owners what you do for them, then they're more apt to want to work with you and do things like that too.
Right, because the owners are really important, and that's another thing that I'm starting to emphasize. I don't know if you participated in that poll I did on Facebook about how do owners make money off of music if people go in and don't pay to buy even a drink. They just want to order water and listen to you. And that's a tough one.
A lot of what I do as I build my customer base of patrons who give me their emails, what they've really appreciated about the emails they get. And I tell them, I said, if I'm playing 20 times a month, you're going to get 20 emails a month. Is that okay? And most of them say yes. And out of 30 people that I do, I get 1 or 2 say, please take me off the list and I totally understand that.
Sure.
But what they appreciate is I take pictures, I go to the internet and I pull pictures of their food, I talk about their menu, things like that. So people know who I am already, so it's not just hi, I'm Corey, I'm playing at this place. I'm actually talking about what kind of food they're having, pictures of the food, and they always tell me, "Oh, so good, so good to see this email of the food, knowing, okay, let's go eat there and listen to it."
Because Corey, you're not making it about you. You're making it balanced about you, about the music, about the restaurant, about the food, and that's good business sense.
And then the owners, and I copy the owner and send the owner along with the thing, and when they see it, they're like, okay, he's working hard for me.
We're going to talk Corey into doing a workshop on how to be successful in music, perhaps, because Dude, you got it. You know, you really get it.
I know. I mean,
It's
I came from a
important.
retail background, my lifetime in business, and everything's the customer, and I think they have to think the same way through music in the same way.
Well, I'm ready for another song.
Well, you talked about Harry Chapin.
I love Harry.
Now, I always
You're
talk.
gonna make me cry, probably. I love him.
I'll only get a verse or two. I figure, where does the verse go and where does the chorus go to? This is a story about life, but I'll probably start the beginning and get the end at the end. So. This is the title.
Goosebumps.
Child arrived just the other day. He came through the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while there was a way, and he was talking before I knew it. And as he grew, he said, I'm gonna be like him, yeah, you know I'm gonna be like him. And the cats in the cradle and the silver spoon, the little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, Dad. You know we'll have a good time then. We'll skip ahead and tables turn. Well, he came from college just the other day. So much like a man, I just had to say, son, I'm proud of you. Can you sit for a while? He shook his head and he said with a smile, was it really like that? Is to borrow the car keys? See you later, can I have them please? And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, the little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, son, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, son. You know we'll have a good time then. The final part. I've long since retired, my son's moved away. I called him up just the other day. Said I'd like to see you if you don't mind. He said I'd love to die if I can find the time. You see, the new job's a hassle and the kids have the flu, but it's sure nice talking with you, Dad. It's been sure nice talking with you. And as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me, my boy was just like me, grown up just like me. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, the little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, son, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, son. You know we'll have a good time then.
Yes.
One of the most memorable songs of life that you could imagine.
Yeah, that one and Cat Stevens' Father and Son.
That I'll do for you if you
now,
want.
I
did that
saw
one too.
Mr. Stevens when that song first got popular.
Aha.
I believe it was 1975 or 76, and 75 because I graduated 76. Giving my age away. Yeah, that's a really good song. Listen, Corey, what do you have to say to fellow musicians?
What I would say is always keep an open mind to what you love. Play what you love. That's going to show the most. I mean, a lot of people play different styles of music, and that's all wonderful and fantastic. But make sure you play what you want and be able to share it across to your audience. Because you play what you love, and whether how you explain it, talk to about it, or it's just songs everyone knows, it reaches the audience. And always be aware of your audience. Always be aware. Always look out there and always look into their eyes when you're playing. I think that's something where once you feel like you connected with them, it's a high that you can never come down from in that regard.
Well, and I also think when you connect with the audience and you watch, you can tell if they like your song or not.
Right.
Granted, I may love something you play and 3 other people might not, but it's important to watch how many people do like, because I don't know how many songs I've just tossed out because I might have liked it, the audience not so much, and I have to keep that in mind. When you play out, it's not all about you.
Right. It's a two-way street. You got to play what you love, but you also have to make sure that your audience is in with you too.
Otherwise, they're not going to come back and pay the bill.
Right.
So, hey, tell me one more thing. Tucson.
Yes.
Music scene.
Yes.
What do you think?
It is, and again, I talk to many musicians, and again, this is kind of a city where certain musicians, they play and they have second homes in different other areas of the country. I think Tucson is a most wonderful place to be musically. As I had said before, there's a venue that we both play together, in the sense of you play it sometimes and I play sometimes, which is Monterey Court.
Oh, God, I love Greg and what he's doing with that.
Right, and again, me and Greg go back to the beginning. I was one of the first acts that actually started that place, over 12 years ago, when we was first just doing solo and smaller things before finding his niche of what he wanted to do. And I still play there now, and I play there about 4 or 5 times a year myself, because it's just a great memory, and the Havers are just wonderful people. But it's amazing to see the different styles of music that's there every single time, whether it's African soul one night, classics another night, bluegrass. I give
Folk.
the classics. Yeah,
I mean,
it's everything.
it is the most eclectic club there is in Tucson at this point.
And that's a mixture of what Tucson is. Latin, everything. So, we become kind of a mixture of a very unique ability to have so many different styles of music. It's kind of an Austin in a way, a little bit, in that kind of situation, but in a different style.
When I was walking, we played Monterey Court yesterday, and I was walking in tired because I had just played the night before, and then I walked into Monterey Court, and I was tired and exhausted, and there's Greg going, I'm ready to mic check, you guys. And then a storm comes that we had to end a little bit early, and then he had to set up for something totally different. And I just love his perseverance with making sure, and he does it to make sure local musicians get heard.
He has a love of music, and especially for local musicians. So always, I tell people, please support Monterey Court when you can, and because it is kind of a special place for Tucson local music.
And another place coming up you may want to check into is House of Bards is changing their whole heavy metal stuff to different genres of music.
Yeah.
And
John
showcases
Bujek is a good guy,
and I hear JD Loveland has got a Monday open mic going there. I do showcases there twice a month to get artists in there, and a lot of the heavy metal stuff is kind of
right. I think again,
bowing
it's
out
a good
a
idea
bit.
to kind of get to the whole mixture of things.
You have to. So,
Right.
and Tucson's notorious. More clubs. What are some of the places you play? Can I ask?
No problem at all. Monterey Court's one of them. I have so many. I have to think about which ones. I play at the Three Canyons Beer and Wine Garden, which is on Sabino, which is very nice. It's strictly beer and wine. They have a nice little cafe with great brisket, outdoor type of event. I play at the Living Room Wine Cafe and Lounge up at La Encantada. I do their second Sunday's brunch, which is coming up this Sunday, July 14th, from 11 to 2. I also play at RJ's Replay, which is down on Speedway, which is kind of a sports grill. And there's a whole bunch.
So you're all over town.
Yeah.
Chugging along with your guitar and your keyboards,
Right.
and you're making a living doing this.
Yes, I am. It's not
Good
easy.
job.
It's not easy, but if you have a love for it, you just it makes you happy. There's a lot, there's a lot that goes on, but nothing beats being on stage and being able to share music with people, and that's the whole thing. And,
Well-
you know, hopefully there's ideas about doing certain tribute shows and things, because, you know, you don't find too many people doing James Taylor tribute shows, and that's kind of the things I had an opportunity to do that at the Hacienda Sol Guest Ranch. I did Father's Day, and we did a show of the singer-songwriters eras of the 60s and 70s and things like that. So look in that kind of avenue also to kind of make a new trend of doing certain things besides just doing the club nights and things like that.
Well, this is Tyler Woods with Music Matters. I'm sitting here with Corey
Spector.
I want to call him
A lot of people.
Spencer. It's
A
Corey Spector.
lot of people do that.
And Corey,
That's
I
okay.
just remembered who it was. My very good friends Lee and Cheryl were at Monterey Court, and they heard you, and they just went nuts for you. So I just love that. So many people love you so much. So I can't say thank you enough for driving clear across town to come over here.
No problem. It was a pleasure. It's fantastic to meet you the first time.
Right. And I think we'll be seeing a lot more of each other, because very nice young man sitting here. Would you leave us with something that means a lot to you?
Well, this one means a lot to everybody. You mentioned Cat Stevens. It's not time to make a change. Just relax, take it easy. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to know. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. I was once like you are now, and I know that it's not easy to be calm when you found something going on. So take your time, think a lot, but think of everything you've got. For you will still be here tomorrow, but your dreams may not. How can I try to explain? When I do, he turns away again. It's always been the same old story. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. No, it's not time to make a change. Just relax, take it slowly. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to go through. Find a girl, settle down. If you can walk, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. All the times that I cried, keeping all the things I knew inside is hard, but it's harder to ignore. If they were right, I'd agree, but it's them they know, not me. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. Thank you, Tyler, for having me.
Thank you. And this is Tyler Woods with Music Matters on KMKR LP 99.9 FM Tucson. And stay tuned, we have more to come.